right, hey South Texas. It is very early in the morning. Here we are at 2 a.m.
We have a lot of folks joining us still, 43, 60 now. So
yeah, a lot of people up late.
Right, so we are tracking a severe thunderstorm warning that has just been issued, and it's in effect through 2:45 a.m. this morning, with the primary concern being 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. It's kind of got that bowing, that backward C shape that we talk about a lot here in weather, and it includes Valverde County, Kinney County, and also Edwards County through 2:45 a.m.
Yeah, and this storm has that potential for damaging winds and the possibility for some large hail as well. You know, we had a storm earlier on that put down some very large hail possibly in northeast Valverde and then northwest Edwards County. The storm kind of moved to an area that was very rural, and now it's up towards Sonora, moving across I-10 between Sonora and Junction. And it put down a lot of heavy rainfall itself, but now the new focus is the storm moving along Highway 90 from Del Rio towards Brackettville, and then eventually it's going to move towards Uvalde. So.
And also Camp Wood there in Real County. So you were going back to that severe thunderstorm warning that you were talking about and it dumping a lot of hail. You also looked at estimated rainfall. You know, that storm was a slow mover. It was only moving, 30 to 35 miles an hour, and it dumped a lot of rain. What did you see with that?
Yeah, radar estimated rainfall in some spots was more than 3 inches. So even though much of the region hasn't seen any rain yet, some spots have seen over 3 inches of rainfall. So, and it's still raining in one of those spots that I mentioned. That's northwest Edwards County. A spot in northwest Edwards County near, I believe it was Highway 55. That's where they had the heaviest amount of rain, and it's still raining there.
And another thing to point out is this aerial flood advisory. So that's going to stay in effect for most of Valverde County. That includes Del Rio through 4:45 a.m. So once we get into our morning shows here, we'll also have a few weather alerts out west. Now this is well west of San Antonio. We're mainly focusing on the Del Rio, Valverde, Kinney, and Edwards counties at this point. But most of these showers and thunderstorms have really formed a line. You know, we were talking about this in the 10 o'clock newscast, but that leading edge could produce some strong wind gusts, and that's exactly the primary concern with this newly issued severe thunderstorm warning.
Yeah, and so it's definitely something that we're going to be tracking all throughout this morning. This is something that will still be going on during our 4:30 show, the 5 o'clock, the 6 o'clock shows. We'll still be tracking these storms moving through. So make sure you stay weather aware. Don't try to drive. Don't try to drive through this before checking the weather, because we want to make sure that everyone stays safe before they head out the house in the morning. And I actually want to see a little bit more with this warning here, Megan. Again, it's going to be until 2:45 a.m. The hazard of 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and then also
it's moving east at about 30
miles per hour. Let's see where it's going to be going next. Let's put a track on that.
Let's put a track on that, and we know it's moving east. We'll pause it, and we'll draw along the leading edge here. So it's right over Del Rio. It's pretty noisy in Del Rio right now. So if this line were to hold together over Camp Wood, this is kind of what we're looking at. So Brackettville around 2:45 this morning, Camp Wood about 3:17, and then Leakey around 3:47.
Yeah, so I see a question about Gonzales County. Still pretty far away from Gonzales, not too much of a concern right there.
This is still pretty far from San Antonio, too.
Yeah. I mean, these storms are well off to our west, but we do have viewers. I almost knocked my mic off right there. We do have viewers that are well out there towards Edwards County, Kinney County, and then over towards Valverde County. And that's my one right now, to keep them updated as well as everybody else tuning in. You know, we'll have a time cast of everything, of when the storms move through.
Right.
And again, you know, we had mentioned that parts of the hill country could see 1 to 2 inches. And I mentioned that isolated spots could see maybe even 4 to 5 inches. Very isolated areas, and that's what we've seen. We've already seen some spots get 3.2. We haven't seen 4 or 5 inches yet, but I think by the end of the night, and at the end of this morning rather, we may see some isolated spots still pick up 4 to 5 inches. So.
Well, that's exactly why the flood advisory was issued for Valverde
Yeah.
County. It's because 1 to 2 inches of rain has likely fallen and heavy rain is still occurring. I mean, we just talked about the movement with these storms. They're only moving east at about 30 miles an hour. So they're dumping a lot of rain and they're moving pretty slow, hence that flash flood threat. So that's still going to be the main concern as we move into Wednesday morning here, and also the severe thunderstorm warning in place. So we could see small hail, but the main concern with this will be 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts.
Yeah, and Megan, let's go ahead and zoom it out a little bit too. There's
kind of the whole viewing area,
kind of
just
whole
to
viewing
show
area.
you that that's the only warning we have in place.
And then you see, it's not just us that's dealing with heavy rain. A lot of the state of Texas dealing with rain right now, especially up towards the Panhandle, North Texas dealing with some rain, and then closer on just north of Big Bend still dealing with some rain.
So
El
now,
Paso.
and this is the feature that we were looking at, that area of low pressure starting to move in. So now that it's moving closer to us, we're starting to ramp up our rain chances just a little bit. I went ahead and pulled up velocity so you can kind of see where that high wind is moving. You can kind of see it there in the green, just pushing east.
Oh yeah, so that's going to be where we have some of the stronger winds moving in. And they're going to continue to kind of make their way off towards the east. And Francis says, huge system. Yeah, it is a huge system, Francis. We're going to continue to watch it real close, of course. We'll be seeing it all throughout the next few hours. Maria says, beefy storms. Yeah, that's what I always say. I always say beefy storms.
I've never heard that term.
Big storms, really strong, beefy
They're
storms.
noisy, that's for sure. I mean, they're producing a lot of cloud-to-ground lightning and very heavy rain. So they're probably waking a few folks up right now. We'll put another tracker on this.
Well, let's put on Timecast, because we have some people asking about the timing of everything.
Okay, so right now I've chosen the weather model that's kind of initializing the storms best. Take this with a grain of salt. This is only one weather model outlook, but it's showing from now until about say 4 or 5 a.m. The storms still are in a line at this point, but we've even looked at, National Weather Service chat and what they were looking at, kind of comparing notes here. And they also kind of saw the same thing that we were looking at, that most of these storms should kind of collapse by the time they reach San Antonio.
Yeah.
So that's been the trend here with most weather models, and it's been pretty consistent over the last 24 hours that once this line moves into Bexar County, most storms collapse. But I'm not ruling out pockets of heavy rain by tomorrow's morning commute, maybe even a few rumbles of thunder. But the severe weather threat by sunrise, I think it'll just kind of gradually get lower and lower.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's and just like what we've been talking about, much of the stronger to severe storms have been to the west, and they're expected to be to the west of San Antonio and off to the north as well. You had mentioned it earlier in your newscast during the 4, 5, 6, and 10 that much of the severe threat was going to be off towards the hill country.
Right,
We're
and that's
still
where we had
tracking
that slight risk.
And right, and that's why we're still keeping everyone updated on this for our friends off towards the hill country. Something that we may deal with tomorrow morning is some heavy rain for down towards San Antonio.
Yeah, so this is around 8 a.m. this morning. It looks like we really start to clear out about noon tomorrow. Maybe some lingering thunderstorms over the hill country. We're talking Edwards, Real, maybe Kerr counties, but it's going to primarily be to our northwest and not include San Antonio. I think a lot of us are going to be dry in the afternoon. So on the 7-day, we've put a pretty good rain chance on Wednesday. That's mainly early, that's mainly early today. So any other questions at all?
Not seeing anything else really come in. See, so I guess nothing here in Pleasanton, Texas. Yeah, Monica, not really going to get much down your way. Going to be more of a 1/10 of an inch to maybe a 1/4 of an inch closer to Pleasanton. Just not too much in the way of rainfall.
And you discussed that too with the next 5-day outlook too.
Yeah. So off towards the northwest of San Antonio, some spots 1 to 2 inches. 1 to 2 inches really widespread, but isolated spots, maybe even 4 to 5 inches, I'm thinking. We do have a spot in northwest Edwards County that's already seen 3.5 inches possibly at this point.
And we can load that,
And-
so 24-hour rainfall totals so far.
Yeah,
So where we see
that-
these
see
little
that yellow
green
spot?
pockets,
But
yeah.
you zoom on down to that yellow spot in northwest Edwards County, or rather, yeah, it's like a bright green rather.
Right over here.
Yeah. So there we have 3.3. You see some really big rainfall totals. Now this is all the Devil's River Basin, so it'll all fill up in the Devil's River. But then also when you get north of 55, that's when you start to see the Llano River. So Llano River is getting a lot of rainfall right now, but that will dump into Lake LBJ, and that's actually outside of the Kents 5 viewing area. So.
Right, and then to southwestern parts. This doesn't include Rock Springs, but southwestern parts of Edwards County, we are kind of seeing these bright purples. So maybe some small hail possible, pea size. We still have that severe thunderstorm warning in place. But again, it's mainly for that 60-mile-an-hour wind gust along the leading edge of this line.
Yeah. Dale says, is there going to be any hail in shirts? Doesn't look like we'll have hail in shirts. Much of the hail is going to be off towards the hill country. Not saying that is 100% ruled out, but less likely to see hail in shirts.
Jesse says, everyone stay safe tonight. Peace
Yeah.
sign. Let's see, what else? Some folks wanting a rainy day. Let's see. Yeah, hail is going to be one of the biggest concerns, too.
Yeah.
And Monica, you're welcome for the update. But, I mean, that's kind of been the trend here, is that most of these storms really collapse once they reach the city in the morning. You know, that's been a consistency with all weather models. We've seen these storms, try to get their act together, which they have been within the last several hours or so. So what I'm going to do is put this back for the last 6 hours and just show you this loop here. So they started out as, scattered showers during the 10 o'clock newscast, and then they just slowly started to really flare up over Valverde County. And they were slow movers, and that's why we have that flood advisory in place through 4:45 this morning.
Yeah, and it's a lot of heavy rain. I mean, we had been talking about it for the past few days that parts of the hill country could see a lot of it. This severe thunderstorm warning, it looks like it's kind of weakened a little bit. We're not seeing as much lightning. Typically, if we see less lightning, it could mean the storm could be weakening some, and you're just not seeing as much lightning with it as what it was before. Seeing more lightning about to go through Rock Springs. So Rock Springs, a lot of people probably about to be woken up due to how loud this thunderstorm is. But I'm not really seeing as much lightning within the severe thunderstorm warning box.
Hopefully these storms will get us out of the drought in Del Rio. Yeah, I hope it helps out Del Rio with a drought. They definitely need it.
Yeah.
How about Seguin? Well, Seguin could get pockets of rain, pockets of heavy rain, I would say, kind of around that morning commute time, 5 to 8 a.m. That's really the trend that we've been looking at. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see velocity. So I'd love to get a better idea about how strong some of these winds are moving through, because it just doesn't look like it's as organized, the severe thunderstorm warning, as it was earlier. So it looks like
It could definitely get windy, though, in Brackettville.
Yeah, it will definitely get windy, and you'll deal with some heavy rain. We're going to have to continue to watch the severe thunderstorm warning itself. We're, of course, going to continue to track all these storms throughout tonight, so don't worry. We're going to be watching these all the way through the 4:35, 6 o'clock shows here on Kents 5, and tracking a lot in the way of just heavy rain all throughout tonight. That's what we basically have on tap, and just be ready, because it's going to be a wet evening for some people, especially the hill country. But when you get closer to Cotulla, Tilden, definitely lower rainfall amounts. Wish we could get you more rain down your ways. Just not going to see as much in the way of rain for you.
Oh, April Hunt says, thank you. You're welcome. Thank you, guys. Yeah. We're, just tracking the only severe thunderstorm warning in South Texas right now, and also the only flood advisory. So that's something we'll be watching, and of course we'll get back up on Facebook Live soon.
Yeah, so we're actually about to go ahead and head off here. We just want to keep everyone updated whenever we see, oh, excuse me, I hit the wrong thing there. Want to keep everybody updated whenever one of these do get issued. We're going to continue to track it closely here behind the scenes. Remember to follow us on the social media channels. We're going to watch this closely here, though, behind the scenes, and if something else develops that we need to hop on here for, we will. We'll hop on here on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, the app, on the website, all of the above, just to keep y'all updated. So, y'all stay safe tonight. We're going to have another one of these updates, I'm sure, eventually this morning. And don't forget, we're going to have everything you need to know, not just about Super Tuesday, but also about these storms as we head throughout the 4:35 and 6 o'clock shows this morning on Ken's 5. So,
and also the complete 7-day forecast. So Paul will provide updates on that too.
Yep, he just got in here
Yep.
about 20 minutes ago, and he's back in the Weather Center right now. We're actually in our special digital center here at Ken's 5. And he's back in the Weather Center right now, piecing together the forecast with the latest model information, tracking some of these storms himself, and he'll have that complete update coming up. So we'll keep you all updated here behind the scenes. Y'all stay safe and try to stay dry for tonight.